So, mobile games, a true cesspit of the human mind.
Hey guys, it's me, Flying Gorilla.
We all know and hate mobile games. They are all either ugly, lewd, pay to win, fads, generic, boring, repetitive, and most importantly, they allow little children to leech money off of their parents. Back in the old days of mobile gaming, we had revolutionary classics such as Cut the Rope, Angry Birds, Doodle Jump, Geometry Dash, and the stupid goddamn Yellow Bird game. They were all simple yet addictive games with no unnecessary bells and whistles. All of these masterpieces have either been forgotten or devolved into putrid manifestations of the late-stage capitalist society we live in. I have personally abandoned mobile games when I was around 10 years old, and from that point on, I haven't ever touched or thought about them. However, a game that has been sitting in the back of my mind throughout all these years has recently resurfaced. There was a certain game I used to genuinely enjoy playing called Drive Ahead. You might have heard of it. From my memory, Drive Ahead was a pretty fun racing game. Let's just call it a game where you have to drive onto your opponent's head.
Knowledge.
You had a whole kaleidoscope of vehicles, maps, and helmets to choose from. There was no health or damage system. Instead, the game was purely based on your skill and a few other shenanigans we'll get to later. Hit your opponent's head once and oops, there he goes. You get so much as tickled on your forehead? Allah is waiting for you. Best out of 5 wins. If you're not playing the King of the Hill game mode, that's also fun. You get coins for playing it, can spend them in a slot machine which would, or would not, either give you a helmet, map, or vehicle. You could save your epic gamer moments using the replay system and even upload them to Dude Dreams, the creator of the game, to be featured in their best replays. Replays gave players a pretty neat way to express themselves, and even though not many people would see their replays, I think it was still a good way to commemorate cool in-game moments. Despite minor flaws and lack of some quality of life features, like guaranteed drops from the slot machine, the foundation was stable, and it looked like things would only improve. This game was the first of its kind as far as I know, with the only game coming close to it being Cats, which was released after Drive Ahead. I don't exactly remember why I uninstalled it, but I do remember that it stuck around for quite some time. My last memory of it was somewhere around the Hot Wheels event where you had to get Rift tickets and fight bosses. Hey, this is post-production Das Modem 887 here. Just wanted to point out that the Rift Riders content isn't the same as the Hot Wheels content, and I got them mixed up. Just thought that I would point it out before someone tells me in the comments. Anyways, let's get back to the video. After that, I completely left the game. I think it would be a point of interest to visit the game at its launch state and see what it started from. So, meet Drive Ahead version 1.20. Wait, what the hell is this? What is this?
What is this?
Okay. Here's the actual old Drive Ahead, version 1.29. Although it's not the first release of Drive Ahead, it's close enough to the OG version to still be representative of it, and also I can't be bothered to dig for an earlier version, but that's besides the point. As we can see, the game is as straightforward as possible. Press the 1P button and you're ballin'. No tutorials, no nothing. Hey, reminds me of another game that used to be simple and straightforward. As you can see, you just have to play, crush heads, and grind. Want to play missions to get more coins? Go ahead, they're right there. Want to play game mode other than 1v1 versus CPU? There's King of the Hill and Soccer. Although the latter will eventually be integrated into the classic game mode. In essence, there are 3 to 4 different game modes to choose from. Also check out how awful the cheers are. Anyways, let's move on to the mythical version 1.93. So, what is version 1.93? Why version 1.93?
Why? Why?
This version is years removed from the current release. Well, I believe that version 1.93 is the quintessential Drive Ahead experience, reflecting a refined core foundation laid down back in 2015 and not too bloated with pay to win and other garbage as to cause disgust when looking at.
Excuse me, sir. I hope my
insatiable thirst for monetary gain
won't be a distraction to you.
Not at all, boy!
There are many more cars, maps, helmets, and mechanics that all fit in the game and make it even more fun compared to the original release. Aside from the Hot Wheels content, that's a bit strange. This game is just dramatical, always keeps you on the edge. I don't know how to put into words, but it's just something special. With some time, the more you play, the more you feel like a professional. You get to do more stunts and tricks and just feel awesome whizzing across the map or escaping from a situation where you were sure to lose. The tables turn with every second. You get to make split-second plans which either work in a who dares wins type fashion or fail spectacularly. In this clip, I failed to land onto this guy's head, thinking that if I were to do a backflip using that palm tree, I would land on him, and then I try compensating by making him run his head into the bottom of my vehicle by standing upright. Just me who overthinks encounters? Okay. Even if you fail, you don't feel mad as a new battle is about to begin in a few seconds, giving you another chance. The fact that you cannot let anything touch your head forces you to be careful, but simultaneously entices you to pursue risks to hit your opponent's head. It's a strange and satisfying symbiosis of two contradictory ideas. Still, I can definitely say that there are two primary components that make this game so great, the first one of which being the wide variety of all sorts of different vehicles, from big and small to wide and short. Despite the relative strength differences among vehicles, most of them are capable of achieving results in the hands of a competent player. Most vehicles strike a good balance between being fun to use, not being overpowered, and not being underpowered. The maps too are a major component of this game. Without maps there would be no game.
Well, duh.
All maps in this game are pretty unique stylistically and functionally. Although some of them replicate a general standard design, each of them still manages to add some sort of fun twist to it. To add to that, I would like to introduce you to my 4 made up concepts that I believe further add on to Drivehead's charm, my holy quartinity. Put that in some dictionary. The first, and the most important of them all, is acrobatic/movement potential, which is your ability to move. Whether it's moving to the left or right to get out of a tight situation or juking your opponent to land on their head, you are utilizing movement. The stunts that you can perform to gain, or attempt to gain, an advantage over your opponent also fall under this umbrella. The speed of your vehicle is also a factor, as usually, the slower the vehicle, the less cool movement things you can do. In this clip, I drove up the palm tree, fooling this poor CPU that I was just going to go up, and instead I jumped down on his head using my baggage area thing. Trailer got it. In another clip, I used a similar strategy to utterly destroy this turtle. These clips show that the unconstrained ability to move allow for the right combination of split-second decision making to achieve results. Then there's the size potential, which is basically just what it says on the tin, how big your vehicle is. The size of the vehicle you are using or fighting against can, in most situations, determine the outcome of encounters from the get-go. Usually, it's the bigger the stronger, but that does not necessarily mean that all bigger vehicles are more enjoyable or stronger than smaller ones. More on that later.
Wink, wink.
Ability potential is whether you are able to use things such as projectiles, flying, or slower falling to, preferably, give you an advantage over your opponent. Unlike the first two aspects, which are applicable to all vehicles in the game, this one is only applicable to a select few, such as the timber lorry with its detachable logs, the rowboat with its ability to float in water, the army bike with its gun, and the dual snowball with its snowballs. In this clip, I utilized the ricochet of my balls to hit my opponent's head just right. Unplanned? Sure. Still a capability of this vehicle? Absolutely. Finally, the least important but still noteworthy aspect is environmental potential, which is the ability to use the map and its props to your advantage. In this clip, I used a box to ricochet off of my forklift onto this guy's head. In this other clip, I put a mine under my opponent so that he will become airborne, and as such remove his ability to move from his general position, allowing me to swoop down like a boss and finish him off. It's important to understand that all of these concepts exist in a spectrum. Some vehicles have pathetic movement/acrobatic potential while having great size potential, like the steamroller. Although it's pretty imposing, it's also a bit slow and unwieldy. Others are the opposite, having decent movement/acrobatic potential, like the tripod or the frosty car. Some are fast, some are faster. The truly good cars, I think, therefore, sit somewhere in the middle of the size and speed department, as their use feels rewarding by not being too easy or too hard to use. A monster truck is big, fast, and pretty effective at crushing helmets, but I don't think anybody will enjoy playing it for a prolonged period of time because it is not challenging. The go-kart, although pretty speedy, feels like cock and ball torture since it's so small and pathetic. However, as I am saying this, there are lots of medium-sized cars with decent speed and they're a bit Generic. This is where ability potential comes in. It adds flavor to vehicles that would otherwise be mundane, rectifying or attempting to rectify their shortcomings. The more extravagant, but not overpowered, this potential is, the more substance to a car there is. Just so you're clear, not all cars need to have ability potentials to be unique. There are plenty of medium-sized cars with decent speeds that all achieve the criteria of being unique and versatile without having ability potentials. The inclusion of ability potentials improves cars that would otherwise be bland. I understand that these things may seem obvious on the surface, like of course big cars are easy to use or of course speed cars feel satisfying to use, but you have to understand that the careful combination of these aspects make this game great. Any significant alterations would completely change the chemistry of the game. I'm probably looking too deep into this silly 2D pixel game, but I hope that the following footage will convince you that there is something. I'll be showing my 3 most favorite vehicles in the game to demonstrate how they bring out these aspects I talked about to their fullest. The forklift truck, the rocket fist, and the cannon carriage. Don't let the pathetic name and look deceive you. This vehicle is a force to be reckoned with. This might come as a bit of a shock to you, but most small vehicles have great acrobatic and movement potential and absolutely suck in the size department. It's in the name. This vehicle, despite being small in size, is compensated by its forklift, which shields it from danger, as shown by this clip where I practically become an impenetrable wall. These other clips demonstrate the forklift's most crowning achievement. It has a goddamn built-in pogo stick.
So get out your seat and jump around, jump around, jump around, jump around, jump up and get down.
No, seriously, this thing is actually mental. It allows you to do some Star Wars type crap. Just take a look at this clip and tell me it doesn't make you think of Darth Sidious versus Master Yoda. Impractical sometimes?
Yes, precisely.
It's more trouble than it's worth sometimes?
Yes.
But is it fun?
Yeah.
Oh, and this vehicle also just allows to commit unspeakable acts with the ground sometimes. Jesus, gotta put a sensor bar on that thing. I would call the Rocket Fist one of the most unique vehicles in the game. It is the prime example of my ability potential concept. Its main thing is that if you gain a certain amount of speed, you can literally punch someone so hard they go flying off into the stratosphere. This vehicle didn't have this ability in past updates, and I feel that giving it this ability turned it from a D tier vehicle to an A tier vehicle, and simultaneously made it fun to play with and against. Now, it's sometimes the case that you just can't get the necessary amount of speed to punch someone, making you hit them normally like any other vehicle. In other cases, even when you already send someone flying, you somehow hit some prop or a part of the map before they hit something. Still, it's immensely satisfying to send someone flying. It's like you're sending someone out to a great journey which was never accomplished by anybody. They are the first ones to explore a vast world.
Мы снова вспомним о нем, о ласковом друге своем. Вспомним звездный причал и учебный штурвал, как нас Юра в полет провожал. Юра в полет провожал.
this vehicle likes to go boom. But there are lots of vehicles that go boom. Well, yes, but this one is special, because there isn't a set path in which the rockets travel in, which means that with the right timing and positioning, you can launch yourself up in the air. The two rockets give you more potential to execute rocket jumping, unlike all the other rocket propelling vehicles that only have one. Not only does this give you better positioning, but it's also just fun. Of course, you can also just use the rockets to send your unfortunate victims flying themselves, oftentimes into a nearby ceiling or wall. So yeah, that's all she wrote pretty much. I haven't even talked about the Superstar Stadium, basically just daily missions, and the Mission Stadiums, which are giant collections of special levels united by a common theme. I didn't talk about the Hot Wheels vehicles or events since I don't consider them to be fully relevant to the core game. If you're going to say that I only talked about prestigious/expensive vehicles, then I don't really care. I like those vehicles and I thought they were interesting enough to talk about. If you find other vehicles more fun than the ones I talked about, then great. If you find the other vehicles to be more representative of my concepts, then that's cool too. The comment section is your soapbox. I won't be deleting comments. The 4 aspects that I was talking about earlier do not necessarily apply to Drive Ahead version 1.93 only. I was just saying that these aspects are best developed in this version and not that they were completely void in previous releases. Also, you might have noticed a bug icon at the top of my screen. That is the debug menu, which is just a cheat menu basically. Why was I using it? Well, 1, I want to enjoy Drive Ahead as a bit of a sandbox. I don't want to grind for weeks on end to finish all the missions, / get all the vehicles and so on. That's not to say I hate accomplishing and unlocking new things. I mean, I do play survival Minecraft, but it's just that I have grinded for so long all those years ago, I don't want to do it again. Also, without it, the production of this video would have been a bit more complicated and taken an eternity. I will not be providing a download link for the APK used because I'm not sure how legal that would be.
Now, having said all this, why
Am I not playing the modern versions of Drive Ahead?
you might ask?
Well, in the simplest of terms, I tried it and I was disappointed. First of all, there is a damaging health system. Let me explain why this is a bad system and why it fundamentally ruins the core experience. Back in the old days of Drive Ahead, you could defeat a literal tank as a motocross bike if you're able enough. It's a pleasurable experience to use your skill to defeat someone with a much greater advantage than you. This mechanic of instantly winning if you could just hit your opponent's head gave you a chance. Now, you practically have 0 chance since you can't defeat your opponent in one hit while he, being a tank, has a crap ton of health and damage and can squash it like a bug. Pay to win mechanics were not really a thing in old Drive Ahead, since you could get pretty much any and all maps, helmets and vehicles through sheer grinding. Although you could buy coins with money, it was not really a necessity. Plus, multiplayer didn't exist, so it wasn't like you'd be at a disadvantage against the donator. The CPUs that you fought against in the King of the Hill / 1v1 game modes could only use the same vehicles as you owned, so it's not like you were at a disadvantage if you only had basic vehicles unlocked. Not that they were bad anyways. Now, not only can you pay for a premium currency to get vehicles, but you also use coins to upgrade their health and damage, incentivizing you to donate. Otherwise you'll be crushed by some schmuck halfway across the country who stole his mom's credit card, because multiplayer seems to now be the main game mode. And only. But hey, at least there are loot boxes. Another aspect I didn't like was the UI. It's cluttered, confusing, colors in all sorts of vivid hues, and just generally distracting. Look at me trying to pathetically find a way out of the battle screen onto the main menu, giving up and then just pressing the back key in BlueStacks off camera. And apparently, the battle button brings me back despite the fact that it's labeled battle, so logically it'll bring me into a battle. Compare it to the old Drive Ahead UI and you'll see how much it has evolved. It's sort of like Tanky Online's UI, where it only got worse with time. You can't even pick out your own maps you want to play on. Huh, sounds familiar. Finally, for the love of all that is holy, optimize this piece of a game. Seriously, compare the performance of old Drive Ahead version 1.93 and this new Drive Ahead.